Well, hello. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to talk a bit about virtual production. Let's give it a go. First, I'm going to talk a bit like what is virtual production in general, what does it entail, the different methods of virtual production, so where is it used, what are we going to do, or where can we use it, what exactly do we need to use it, so what are the tools and everything in the background, basically. And last but not least, we're going to take a tiny look into the future, like what are we adopting straight away from AI and all those other technologies. So yeah, that's what you're in for. All right, let's give it first. Anybody, well, why I'm here, or who am I, basically, why am I talking to you? So I'm Adrian Weber, I'm a Virtual Production Supervisor, and back there is a couple of the credits I had the pleasure of working on. Unfortunately, most of the projects I've worked in are still in post-production, not yet released, meaning I can't really talk about them. So a lot of the feature films and stuff you're going to see are from other companies. So I've credited them down there, and I'm going to point it out as time goes. Right. So first and foremost, what is virtual production? Anybody an idea in general? No one. Has anybody worked with virtual production before? I guess you have, but okay, that's good. Well, we'll have to find out. So basically, first and foremost, the biggest part of virtual production, or like the most prominent one, the most prominent category in that sense, is in-camera VFX, or in-camera virtual production, as it is called now, or like gets adopted ever so slowly. And of course, the most prominent project, as everybody has seen, is the project done by ILM and Disney, is The Mandalorian. What they've done there is basically paved the way for this entire project, like the entire technology in that sense, meaning they basically used game engines in the back end. So all the things you see on the back of the wall, the grayish ones, are done on LEDs, and it's rendered in the Unreal Engine in real time. Or if you talk about ILM, it's rendered in Stagecraft, which is their own custom renderer, but just for easy sake, let's say it's the Unreal Engine. We have a lot of systems running around them, and we're going to talk about them in a second, but that's basically the main idea. We have something calculated in the background, and the usual things we would use for virtual production, like Greenscreen and stuff like that, is replaced already on set. Of course, this is used like on a lot of productions now. So a couple of the most prominent ones you may have seen are the House of the Dragon, where they basically adopted the bridge scene in there, and it was done by Lux Machina, and of course done by HBO. And the other thing is 1899, the virtual production shoot for Netflix, basically, which you have seen. It was shot in Babelsberg and also shot on a revolving stage, like you see here. And the huge advantages of stuff like this is basically they didn't have to go on location. So big problems basically for both productions. Let's say House of the Dragon, they wanted to shoot the bridge scene. The biggest problem for them was basically it is one overrun by tourists. It has become a nature reserve, and they can't really get shooting permits anymore to shoot on the bridge, which has become popular because they've shot on the bridge in the first seasons. So they were able to recreate this thing in virtual production and actually blend it seamlessly and even tweak it a bit. So they made the bridge wider so they had more space of people standing next to each other and made it a lot easier for the entire crew to shoot. 1899 is a prime example because it was happening during COVID, meaning basically nobody could travel, nobody could go to exotic locations, and they wrote a script which contained people from Asia, from Germany, from America, so basically everybody who was all over the world, which you couldn't do anymore. So they had the really good chance of shooting it inside a volume and recreate all those scenes right there without any problem. And the result you can see for yourself, it's basically flawless. Of course, this one goes to really, really big scale volumes. So right now, for example, this is a background from Poor Things, and it's just like a tiny piece of the wall you see here, right? This one is 60 meters long and 10 meters high, meaning that was gigantic, 600 meters, and was built all around the ship. So if you have the chance to see Poor Things, highly recommend it. All the scenes you see on the ship are basically shot in front of a giant LED wall. And as soon as the movie comes out, we're going to have a bit more of the stills to show about, but the scale is really massive. But the wonderful thing about things like that is basically it gets adopted, so it gets more accessible for everybody right now. Meaning that even on small shoots, like here, Netflix has done on Red Notice with Lux Machina, it's brilliant because they really used a small scale volume, which isn't like a gigantic one, but still made it work brilliantly. So all the scenes as well, again, on a ship, seems to be like a common thing to use, are basically done in front of an LED wall. And you get a lot of stuff for free, meaning you have all the light wrap, all the stuff which usually causes a lot of pain in green screen and in post-production is basically already baked in. You can have all the adjustments basically done in real time, meaning if you work with the Unreal Engines, you could move stuff around because you're in a video game. Moving a tree from left to right is not a difficult task in a video game. physically on set, however, other topic. But yeah, that's basically the idea of virtual production. Virtual production is not only LED screens, though. It contains a lot more things. So, for example, if we look at Greenscreen, this also is a way of virtual production. Yeah, basically, as you can see here. And I'm going to show you that that's basically, this here is the very first project I did at universities a couple of years ago. So don't judge the quality. It's really yeah, well, okay. But the idea is basically we have all the tools already there, which we used later on for LED. So meaning you basically laid the ground zone and you can reuse your skills somewhere else. And the idea here was basically shown is basically we can use a lot of different scenes. We have a lot of different Unreal levels and we can switch through them flawlessly. So you basically are able to go wherever you want, anywhere in the world, even during COVID, which was when we shot this entire thing. And yeah, of course, I mean, look at the particle effects. That's the skill of an Unreal artist who started like 2 months ago. But yeah, the idea is right now you're going to see a bit of the behind the scene, how it was basically done and what we all incorporated. So this was in front of the green screen. We basically had, of course, a camera. We had a small little tracking puck, which is the thing you saw right there. And of course, you had some interactive lighting, meaning even the lighting was controlled through the Unreal Engine. We basically took the content, which was supposed to be on the ceiling, mapped it onto lights, so we got a lot of the interaction when they moved around, basically for free. And of course, it's brilliant because you see already what you're doing on set. So even the framing, basically the layout and everything is super smooth. And of course, this is basically just a very rudimentary thing to do with virtual production. But of course, there's adopting it in live production as well. So basically, they take the idea of green screen compositing, taking out the background, putting AR elements in front, which is maybe more of, well, the broadcast people are doing it since forever. For us film people, it's like new inventions in that sense. So basically, what you can do now is use all the live feeds, all the tools you have, 3D animation, 3D tools, and basically composite them on top. And this is basically the showreel from Disguise, which is a media server, which is commonly used in a lot of TV productions and film production as well. But yeah, the quality basically is super easy to achieve and get a bit higher in that sense. But yeah. On film production, green screen is commonly used, well, replaced in post-production. We are not doing it live on set, but now we can do it. And it's very nice, for example, that's what a couple of friends of mine did from on-set facilities on the Apple TV shoot Silo, where they basically had the problem of having huge blue screens in the background, where they replaced the actors in, or the background to match the new world in which they are placed on. I don't want to spoil it because it's a shot from the end of the movie, so be careful. But the cool thing about this one is basically, even with camera tracking and the replacement, we can see what is happening on set. So all the framing, all the adjustments from the horizon line, everything is already in there. And we don't have to guesswork anymore in post-production. Will it work? Won't it work? Will the sun come from the right direction? And all that stuff. So that's super nice, and that's where it's used very commonly. And of course, one of my actually favorite things to do is fully digital shoots. It's super fun. I don't know who's seen basically the Love, Death and Robots series on Netflix. If so, again, a big recommendation from my end. It's basically a couple of animation studios who were given a good amount of budget and have turned out really, really great amount, like short films in that sense. And they produced like a super, super crispy real-time shoot. With basically taking all the physical camera tools they use that, so basically all the camera tracking, all the parameters from a physical camera, the depth of field, the blur, the interaction with the sensor, chromatic aberration from the lenses, and all of those parameters, and put it onto the digital world, meaning they were able to achieve a proper grade of realism in a really, really nice sense. And of course, it gets used on very, very big shoots. So for example, here again, ILM, I don't know who has seen the Lion King. So the idea is basically you can take physical elements and put them into the digital world. Meaning if I want to track this as my camera, that's not longer a problem. I have a tracking system, I can put something on there which I can recognize in the world. Meaning that even though I'm producing in a digital world, I could use this as a camera. I can give somebody who's used to operate a camera this into its hands. I can put all the parameters onto this thing, for example with handles, so you can have the zoom control, you can have basically the focus and all that stuff. And they can move it through the real world as they would do with a real camera. But on the camera feed on top, they see the composited digital image. The cool thing about this is basically you can frame however you would do it in real life. You don't have to do it anymore in the digital engine, describing to an operator who maybe hasn't as much experience in operating cameras as you do, how you want to have your shot to look, or what you want your shot to look like. So you're basically able to achieve a high level of realism without the workaround of doing this stuff with a lot of iterations, like so go a bit higher on the top and so on. For example, they even tracked a small little drone. So they took a DJI out drone into a big studio and they flew it around to do the aerial shots where they basically do the establishers to the big stone in the beginning where I think the small little lion gets introduced to the world. To have those tiny wobbles, they have the camera heads and everything in there, and that's why it feels so real, because the camera movements are based on real physical movements and on what is physically possible and not just impossible shots in that sense. All right, all those things basically have one goal. So everything we use is basically there to do real-time visualization. So either we composite the background directly in there, so we don't have to do it in post-production, or we basically take something to ease out the framing and the physical post-production, which will come later on. So that's basically what we are trying to do. And for that, we use the VP-Toolset. And that's a lot of different kind of elements that need to play together to make it happen. So first and foremost, basically, I'm going to talk about in-camera VFX because everything in there is kind of incorporated. So first and foremost, we need an LED wall, something in the background which basically displays your background and which can be captured by the camera. On top of the LED wall, you need something to track a camera. And those are, for example, tracking cameras. That's one kind of system where we have a lot of cameras around the studio and on the LED wall, which will look for this thing on the camera, which is called kind of a tracking POC, where we basically are able to determine the position of the camera in the 3D space. This 3D space we can take into the Unreal Engine or into our virtual world, move it around, and therefore basically adjust the background however we need it in that sense. And that's how it kind of looks on set. So if somebody moves the camera, we know exactly where it's going, what it's doing, how it's rotating, and whatever is going on with this entire thing. We need somebody who controls those things, and that's, unfortunately, the naming is called the brain bar. So that's kind of up to, I don't know who came up with the term, but now it's stuck and we can't get rid of it. Somebody will call it volume control and other things like that, but we need somebody who controls this entire thing. And traditionally, we have somebody, for example, adjusting the tracking, being able to, or is basically responsible to transport all the physical data into the digital world and translate it basically on your digital representation of your physical assets. Then we have somebody who might be able to just play in some backgrounds, basically working on this entire thing, just making sure you actually understood what is virtual production. So we're there, make sure I'm set. And then last but not least, we have on a lot of shoots the Unreal Engine in the background. Great thing about the Unreal Engine, it's, well, first and foremost, it has basically free source code available, so you can compile the Unreal Engine from scratch. So it's partly open source, which is amazing. You can put in your own tools. You can integrate your own devices. Secondly, it's free for now, at least for educational purposes. It's going to be charged. It's going to cost something from the next year. We'll see how it plays out. But as long as you don't make over $1 million, I guess you should be fine. That's normally the edge where they draw the line. But yeah, and with all of those tools, we can do amazing things because we have basically the background. The real-time engine. We have something to translate physical stuff into the digital world. We have the, for example, here we have the mocap, motion capture, which we can translate to digital characters, and we have a digital world. But yeah, that's basically the tool set from which you can do a lot of stuff. But even now, there's a lot more things basically available or which will get integrated into this entire shoot. And that's where the fun starts, because right now we have a lot of stuff going on. And I'm talking, of course, about AI and generative content, basically. So first and foremost, we, of course, can do a lot of fun stuff. But we also can generate landscapes, scenes, and content for the LED wall. And we can do my favorite trend of the year, make famous movies look like they're shot by Wes Anderson. So that's good stuff. But yeah, on a more serious note, though, the problem with generative images, usually it's really difficult to pinpoint one exact change. But as of now, basically, this one was one of the first demos released by NVIDIA at some point, where you could draw an image on the left very abstractively, and they basically filled it in for you on the right. And this one has basically evolved. So we have now proper 360-degree HDR eyes, meaning we are able to light entire scenes with it without having a problem. And if somebody tells you on set, we need a tree or a mountain back there, all of a sudden that's not a huge hassle anymore. So of course, those are still beta tools, and there's a lot of testing to be done, but we'll get there eventually. And of course, I mean, something like that, for example, is super easily achieved now, because if you would create a link from your drawing pad to the actual rendering, you could do something like that, a car shoot, super easily in virtual production and paint in the precise landscape you want in the back. One of the other things that is very huge, or will be very huge, I hope, in the future, is the integration of NURBS and Gaussian splatting. So basically, what we're doing there is take a lot of images, and that basically, in a very broad sense, takes the idea of photogrammetry, if somebody's familiar with it, and creates a 3D scene in real time. And of course, because it's photos, it's photoreal, meaning we are able to actually create a scene with just somebody going there and then put it back into the volume. So for example, shooting in the Sixtine Chapel, which is hugely difficult in the real world, it's very easy inside a volume. And the cool thing about something like that is this is even generated from publicly available photos, so nobody had to go out and capture that. That was done basically just by scraping footage from the internet and integrating it into a certain network, basically. And nice thing is, to a degree, it's already inside the Unreal Engine, so it's ready to be used on the actual productions, which is really, really nice. So, for example, this you can see is captured by a 4-minute drone flight around the rock, and is now a fully 3D scene. And if you put that in the background and build some physical set, let's say a view platform or something like in front of the wall, all of a sudden you can basically see the entire world in real life, and as if you were there without having to travel there, actually. And last but not least, the final thing I very much love. This one will hopefully soon come out. That's basically the style transfer. So the idea is basically to take a lower resolution input, or basically some sort of style input, and transfer it to another style. And this one was really nice because they took a video game input and rendered it in 15 frames a second into a more real-looking output. And if you think, well, that doesn't look like LA, that looks more like Germany, you were totally right, because it's trained on a data set from Germany. That's why it looks a bit more lush than it would usually look in America. But if you notice, for example, the leaves and everything where game engines are really bad at, huge particle effects and everything like that, it's super nice because it gives you basically this for free if you implement it right. Yeah. So leaves basically one last question. If somebody would like to learn this entire thing and basically get into this entire topic, how would you do it? Well, that's for Dr. Jodie Nesel-Tapper to explain. So I'm happy to introduce her. Thanks for your attention, and yeah, see you later.